everybody. Okay, so we've got a video for you today on coaching. This is going to kind of be an all-encompassing video for those of you who are not yet a client with Oxygen and are looking for a little bit more information regarding our coaching, or for those of you who are either an athlete follower with Oxygen or a coaching client. This will kind of just be a little bit of a mixed bag, and so you can watch this one today, watch it a couple times, whatever works best for you, and reach out. We'd love to see or hear your feedback as always. So we're going to talk about what kind of coaching you should be looking for or can be looking for depending on where you're at in your life today. One of the most important things that we talk about in terms of coaching is mindset. And the most important muscle when we look at any kind of change or growth mindset is the 6 inches between your ears. So anytime you set new goals, hopefully they're new and they're changing or they're adapting to where you're at in either your personal life, your professional life, if you're an athlete, some of the things that are changing about your body or where you're at in your sport and training, you have to be able to adapt and change your mind over probably anything else. We've stretched you out. We've asked maybe something else of our body or our professional lives. Maybe even some things at home have changed, and we've had to give some things up or ask some different things of our family, and that takes a lot out of our groove, out of things that we're accustomed to, and our brain has a way of playing some nasty tricks on us. So when we start coaching at Oxygen, one of the most important things that we do is we work on our mindset. What we think about ourselves, what we think about the situation, why we have chosen to do the things that we have asked of ourselves and the people around us. So, and what we do when it doesn't go well, what we do when it does go well, that we not take our foot off the brake or off the gas, that we don't immediately step on the brake when things start to get good. For some of us, we have some pretty old ingrained habits that maybe good things shouldn't happen to us, and that maybe when good things start to happen, we need to regroup. So our mind plays some nasty, gnarly tricks on us. And when we talk about our coaching calls, whether we're working with you individually or we're working with your team if you're a manager, or your team if you are an individual contributor and we are working with you and your teammates, those are some of the primary things that we're working with right out the gate. If you want to be successful, we have to also ask you to be able to self-reflect. And I like to talk about my high school athletes a lot, because for kids, if you weren't fortunate enough to have someone when you were a child teach you to self-reflect in a positive way, it's unfortunate. And I will tell you that I didn't necessarily, I was quite a bit older till someone really kind of had that impact on me, but I didn't know what it was when it was happening. So when I get to pass it on to young people now, it's great to see the realization start to happen to them. So I'm going to use them as a little bit of an example today. So when we coach, and I will encourage you to try this on someone else, try it on your friends, try it on your own kids, try it on your significant other, someone that maybe you mentor or that you that reports to you. I am a huge advocate of asking them to self-reflect before I coach them. And if you coach with me and it hasn't happened yet, or if you're going to start coaching with me, get ready. I want to know what you think about what has happened to you. So if we have a specific situation and you ask for my opinion, one of the best things that we can do is to ask you the good and the bad that you see in a situation. So specifically, I coach high school varsity swimming. So when a swimmer asks me to assess something about their stroke, if they've identified something that is not going well for them, and they swim up to the edge of the pool and say, "Coach, can you see this?" The first thing that I'm going to do is ask them to redo what they are asking for assessment on. And that's because they're asking me to see something very purposeful. So what they think is wrong, they are going to draw the most attention to in that moment. And then when they come back to me, I can say, "Tell me what you like and tell me what you don't like." The most important part there being, tell me what you like. We are so drawn to what we don't like. Tell me what is wrong. Now, there's a couple different parts to this, and you have to be able to say, "I'm a very negative person and I'm going to automatically tell you what I don't like." And in that case, if that's you or that's your child or that's someone that you coach or employ, you need to be very, very aware of that. And it's even that much more important that they come up with things that they like about what they are struggling with. And then you also have the other extreme with people who they don't do anything wrong. There's nothing I don't like. There is always something that is there for improvement. So if I have a high-performing athlete who says they can't find anything that they like about it, they have something. If they have nothing that they don't like about it, then why did you ask me for help? There's always going to be a compromise. So I want to see something that you like and something that you don't like. They don't have to be in equal fashion, but I do want to see both things. And I will tell you that when I'm trying to shift a culture and shift a mindset in a specific athlete, same thing with a professional. If I'm trying to shift the mindset of someone to equally see where they are presently, I will ask you to continue to repeat where you are struggling until you can come up with both a positive and a negative about what is going on. Excuse me. If you have identified that you have a weakness, that in and of itself is a great assessment. Weakness is not failure. And I even hesitate to use the word failure because I don't think that failure is a bad thing. But that's a whole nother training. Weakness, when we are capable of identifying it, just means that now we know where to focus. And it means that we have all of these other strengths to support our weakness. So when we coach, we want to be aware enough that this is our strength and this is our weakness. And in our weakness, we have these strengths to support us until we can rise up enough in the weakness that they become level. And I will tell you, whether we talk about athletes, we talk about professionals. For those of you who know anything about my background, you know that my daughter is very, very active in livestock. She shows horses and cows. We do the exact same thing in animals. I have rescue Great Danes at home. When we identify the weakness in an animal's training, even whether it be a dog who doesn't listen, a horse who is competitively trained, we break down their training to keep them active, to show the weakness, and then rebuild them and keep their mind engaged. It is no different when we're coaching an athlete, a business professional, a team, any of those things. Those same principles stay in play across all of those things. Now, obviously, how I train an athlete in the water is completely different as to how I train a reining horse. However, the principles, again, remain the same. So back to my original comment. we will still ask you, or if you are working with a coach, be aware that they should both be focused on what you do well and what you are struggling with. You should be able to identify what you do well and what you struggle with. If at any time in a process you start to lose the perspective of, I do this well, and I'm struggling with this, and you cannot see, not in equal measure, but at least one thing that you're struggling with and at least one thing that you do well, then you need to seek out an external opinion on how things are going, because we're losing sight of the greater good. I can assure you that you can be in an extremely deep and dark place and still be doing one thing well. Now, with that being said, in a feedback situation, you should be able to receive feedback of things you're doing well and things that need improvement. That is a two-way street. You should be able to receive feedback, things you do well and things that need improvement. They should make you uncomfortable. They should push you outside of your box. When we go back to the 6 inches between your ears, if you're listening and you're capable of feedback, that's why we start with your own assessment first. Then, when someone gives you some feedback to push you outside of your box or show you something that maybe you weren't sure you were capable of yourself, then it gives you the ability to stretch outside. And that's not something that requires an immediate reaction. So for those of you who coach with me often, whether that be in an athletic situation or a professional situation, you will know that one of my biggest pet peeves is people who require an immediate reaction. You don't have to react to feedback immediately. It's what I call a pregnant pause. If I give you feedback and you look at me and go, Kat, you're crazy, it's probably the best feedback that you've gotten in a while. Maybe you need 30 seconds. Maybe you need a couple of days. Maybe if you're on our 1-week coaching program, you're going to think about it for a week and you're going to come back to your call next week and say, okay, Kat, I've thought about it and this is my feedback. Depending on your personality, any one of those, any version of that will work for you. What we don't want to see is somebody push you outside your box, your manager, maybe your spouse, maybe, I don't know, whoever challenges you, your pacing partner, anything like that, and your immediate reaction go, are you crazy? Because those are the limiting beliefs coming out of the 6 inches between your ears, flowing directly out of your mouth. And those 6 inches between your ears are the muscle that needs the most work. It has to concurrently work with all of the fitness goals, the don't eat before noon goal that I currently have for myself that is insane because the intermittent fasting fad has gotten to me. The whatever goal that you're currently working on, it has to concurrently work for your brain, and it will force out of your mouth, are you crazy? No, they're probably not. But that person could potentially have more faith in you than you have in yourself right now. And we have to make sure that you give yourself enough pregnant pause in there to thoroughly think through what they have suggested to you. So here's my next piece to this before we lock down the coaching piece. What have you done in the last 6 months to stay fresh? Now, we've talked about goals, and we talk about goals pretty consistently. Oxygen is one of those firms that was put together on the parameters that you can do great things. And when my company was started, it was because I did have faith in people. I had more faith in people than they had in themselves. And when they started to come together and great things started happening for people, it gave me a fuel that I had really never experienced in life before. And so I decided to take it to a bigger scale. But one of the things that I discovered when we really got going was that what I thought of as a thirst for education and just things that I thought everybody did was something that goes on people's back plates more often than not. And that is continually learning and continually seeking new things to learn and put in your back pocket as education. So, can you say that within the last 6 months, you have done something to further your education? That's only something that you can answer. It's not anything that somebody can tattle on you if you have or haven't, but it's just a question, have you? And if you manage a team, the kind of underlying cursor to that is, do you have something on your calendar for your team to continue their education or expose them to new things every 6 months? The thing about continuing education is it isn't always just for you. In a lot of cases, it's more for the people around you than it is for you. They see that you're continuing your own education, especially if you have little people or younger people. They see that you're investing in yourself. For your clients and customers, they see that you are investing not only in yourself, but in them. You bring a value to them. Just the act of investing in yourself, whether it be reading a book that has to do with your business, or taking a course, or stepping away and taking a seminar, or signing up for coaching for 15 minutes a week, or whatever that looks like in your realm, it betters you so that you are better for your family and for your clients. People who choose to not make those choices, it's a downward spiral very, very quickly. It's like the ultimate micromanager who only hires people that think like they do because they can't hire people who might have other thoughts. So we have to be super careful that if we look at a calendar year, are you willing to say you didn't have the time twice in a calendar year to not invest in yourself? So, like I said, not any report card, nobody's tattling on you, but can you look back and say that you have, within this last 6 months, invested in some kind of continuing education? If you were a firefighter, if you were a teacher, if you were a medical professional, they actually monitor Con Ed hours. If you're a business professional, what would your Con Ed hours look like for the last 6 months? So hopefully, if you're not a client currently with Oxygen, that gives you a little bit of a snapshot as to what a coaching experience would be with us. If you get on our Facebook page, we do run right now a promotion. You can sign up. If you click on our Facebook page, you can sign up for 15-minute coaching under a promotional code right now, and you can sign up for your coaching right then and there. If you're currently a Oxygen client, then hopefully you take some of those tips and you can talk to us about those 6 inches between your ears the next time you have your setup coaching call. And I hope everybody takes just a little bit of time to breathe life in today. Have a great day, everybody.